Hi, my name is Kaylee Robinson, a doctoral fellow at Florida Atlantic University's Academy for Community Inclusion, or ACI. I am presenting with my colleague Lauren Berlingo, who is an employment specialist and instructor with ACI. ACI is a Florida postsecondary comprehensive transition program for adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities at FAU, in which students can enroll to the university to earn certificates in employment, community access, and independent living. This presentation is called Developing Strategies for Success Through Executive Functioning. After listening to this presentation, participants will be able to define executive functioning and identify its components, describe 3 executive functioning processes, including the planning process, self-monitoring and goal-directed behavior, and self-regulation. Also, utilize resources to work on those processes. At ACI, we are currently developing courses that target these specific areas of executive functioning. When you go to college, you have the opportunity to take courses to hone in on these executive functioning skills. The purpose of this presentation is to introduce you to the basics of executive functioning, dive deeper into the 3 specific components of executive functioning, and to provide you with some resources that can help you build these skills. So what is executive functioning? It involves cognitive processes that enable a person to engage in problem-solving, decision-making, critical thinking, and goal-directed behaviors. It is a broad set of cognitive skills used to organize, self-monitor, control, and direct one's behavior towards purposeful goals. And it involves the higher-order cognitive processes involved in the self-regulation of behavior. In other words, executive functions are a set of processes to get things done to achieve a goal. And executive functioning skills involve everything you do every day to manage your own behavior. Executive functioning involves a wide array of components and processes, including working memory, sustained attention, organization, planning and prioritization, time management, inhibition, shifting and flexibility, emotional control, goal-directed and persistence, self-monitoring and metacognition, activation and initiation. To understand how we use executive functioning skills every day, let's look at an example by looking at all of the behaviors it takes to make it to the doctor's appointment on time. First, you have to plan in advance by figuring out which doctor you need to see based on your needs and funding sources. Then, you schedule your appointment. You look at your schedule to choose a free time that doesn't overlap with work, class, or other activities you already have scheduled. You also consider travel time and buffer time in case something happens. These are all of your planning skills. The night before your appointment, you think about what needs to be done and begin some of those steps. You pack your bag with anything you might need, including your ID, payment, insurance card, and medical records. Getting these together is your organization skills. You also set an alarm for the next morning. When doing this, you think about how much time it will take you to travel to the appointment and how much time you need to get ready. Getting ready may involve taking a shower, eating breakfast, etc. This is your time management. When the alarm goes off the next morning, you initiate the task of getting ready to leave. You remember what needs to be done, such as the shower, getting dressed, and bringing that bag you packed. All of those are your working memory. And then you stay focused on those relevant tasks, which involves your sustained attention. You avoid becoming distracted by social media, your phone, or other activities that may take you away from staying on schedule. That avoiding distraction is your inhibition. As you walk outside, you don't see your Uber, and then you realize, the ride was canceled. So you set up another ride. That's your problem solving and flexibility. You arrive to your appointment on time and scope the waiting room for a place to sit, but then you realize someone just sat in that last available seat. You take a deep breath and decide to stand in the open area while you wait. That's your emotional control. As you can see, executive functioning plays a big role in our daily lives.
Why do students need these skills? College education presents new and social responsibilities and requirements while having less external structure, and executive functioning skills are needed to be successful in balancing these responsibilities and demands. Without these skills, students with disabilities are at risk for academic failure and social emotional issues. According to Parker in 2009, in the college environment, students with disabilities may have difficulty in developing realistic plans, beginning and maintaining consistent effort across time, remembering goals, and regulating intense emotional reactions to daily frustrations. How does executive functioning contribute to post-secondary success? The new academic environment of post-secondary education requires students to become more autonomous or independent with their academics than they have been previously, while taking on and emotionally dealing with important life events and social relations. Post-secondary education presents higher academic, employment, and social responsibilities, while having less assistance, which can be proven to be taxing for students with difficulties in executive functioning. So, how can EF skills help? Learn these skills to promote independence in all areas of life. Your college careers, which focus on your academic and social success, your future or current jobs, which focuses on your employment success, and leisure skills, which includes actively participating in activities within the community. As we previously stated, in this presentation, we are going to talk about planning and prioritization, self-monitoring and goal-directed behavior, and self-regulation. First, we are going to define and give examples of each of these subcategories. Then we are going to provide some strategies for you to use in the real world. The planning process consists of 3 steps: making the actual plan, preparing for the plan, meaning what you might need in terms of materials, time, or help, and prioritizing, which entails picking the parts of the plan that need to be done first for various reasons. Step 1, plan. First, you're going to determine what you are trying to accomplish, asking yourself, what is the actual goal? Then you're going to determine whether you can do this independently, asking yourself, do I need help doing this? Do I need more information? Do I have any questions that need to be answered? And if I do, who can I ask for help? Then you're going to determine the steps necessary to complete the task or the plan. What needs to be done to complete this? How much time will I need to complete each step? When will I need to be done by? When should I start? Then you're going to identify the materials needed to complete your goal, asking yourself again, what materials do I need? Step 2 is prepare. You have to prepare. First, you have to determine the situation. To do this, you need to ask yourself, what am I preparing for? Is my goal related to a school assignment? Is it related to my job? Is it related to a social event I'm going to be attending or involved in? Then you need to ask questions related to the situation. For example, what do I need to bring? This depends on what your overall task is that needs to be accomplished. So, to be prepared, if it is something for school, what do you need to bring for class? If it is something for work, what do you need to bring to your workplace? If it is something for another type of activity, for example, a job interview or a birthday party, what might you need to bring there? Next, you need to ask yourself, what do I need to wear? Thinking about the setting you're going to be in and potential weather complications. Then you need to see, do you still have questions, or how can I mentally get ready for this? Is there information I need to be aware of before? All of this is included in step 2 to prepare. In step 3, you have to prioritize. First, you need to identify what needs to be done. To do this, ask yourself, what schoolwork do I have to do? What do I have to do for work? What recreational activities or social events do I have coming up? You need to identify what is most important. To do this, ask yourself, what is urgent? Do you have a deadline? What is due first? What is due last? What can wait? Is there anything on my list that is a time waster or distraction? Sometimes you love a show that you just have to watch, but you just might not have to watch it one of these days.
Self-monitoring and goal-directed behavior is the second group of executive functioning skills that we're going to focus on. Self-monitoring and goal-directed behavior involve attention and performance. When we think of attention, we look at time on task and engagement. When we think of performance, we look at activation and initiation. Are you starting each step when you're supposed to? Those sorts of things. So let's take a closer look at self-monitoring. A big part of self-monitoring is metacognition. Metacognition involves being aware of one's own behavior, thought processes, use of strategies, and comprehension, monitoring and evaluating one's own performance, and making changes in one's behavior, actions, and strategies as needed. When self-monitoring, you can do this in 2 steps. First, you're going to determine if you are completing the steps you identified in the planning stage. What is working and helping me work toward my goal? Am I completing the steps in time to complete the task? Did I forget a step? Did I complete a step poorly? Does my advisor or other planning partner agree that I am completing these steps? Second, you will determine if you need to make any changes. Do I need to redo or complete a forgotten step? Do I need to complete the steps faster? Or should I add a tool to help me stay on task? Along with self-monitoring, we have goal-directed behavior. This involves persistence. Perseverance, maintaining the effort and motivation to follow through with the actions necessary to achieve goals. Now, when you're working on goal-directed behavior, set short-term and long-term goals, record and track your progress, use a goal sheet with progress monitoring, have a check-in partner that you can use to go over your goals and talk about your progress. This can be an advisor, a peer mentor, or any other trusted individual. Also, you can use technology to help with setting and tracking those goals. This can be an app, Google Drive, any tool that you are good at using.
Now let's talk about self-regulation. Self-regulation encompasses a variety of different areas that help us stay calm and get things done. Key areas that we are going to focus on are having emotional control, shifting, updating, inhibitory control, and being flexible. Self-regulation. We're going to look at emotional control first. Emotional control is exactly what it sounds like, being able to manage our emotions and feelings. When people get mad, frustrated, upset, or overly excited, they almost always have signals that indicate they are over the emotional edge. It's important to be able to identify these signals early because we can then use strategies to get our emotions back in check. People can lose control of their emotions anywhere, so this is a very important life skill. The next part of self-regulation that we're going to be discussing is shifting. Shifting is the ability to transfer your attention between different tasks. This is important because in college and in life, we are going to be presented with multiple things at once, whether it be multiple school assignments, school work and work-related tasks, or a mix of school work, work tasks, and social events. That is life, and we have to become fluent in being able to shift our attention to each area after we prioritize which ones to focus on first. The next part of self-regulation we are going to be discussing is updating. Updating is when you evaluate incoming information. We revise what is in our working memory and delete what is no longer relevant and replace it with new important information. This is almost like a computer file. When you are done with an assignment, you no longer need to keep it open, so you put it away for good and get ready for a new one. This is important because sometimes we can get fixated on certain things or information that is kind of useless to us, and we miss important things that we might need. The next part of self-regulation that we're going to be discussing is inhibitory control. Inhibitory control means to halt or stop any inappropriate responses and potential destructive behavior. This is important in regulating or controlling ourselves because sometimes we might hear or see something that we don't like, or maybe we don't like something that someone says or does, and that makes us want to react. It is important that we learn how to stop and think before reacting, controlling any reaction that might be considered wrong for wherever you are. The next part of self-regulation we're going to discuss is flexibility. Being flexible is the ability to adapt and adjust your thinking and actions when it is needed. Being flexible is very important. It allows us to deal with changes, whether they be big or small, handle our frustrations when things might not go as planned or when we are stressed out, coming up with solutions to problems, considering others' perspectives, feelings, and actions, and trying new things and taking risks.
In any college course where you are learning executive functioning skills, you will most likely be asked to reflect on your skills at the beginning of the semester. This means that you might be asked to take a self-assessment, stating how you already are with these skills, in your own opinion. Then, you might be asked to take this again at the end of the semester, seeing if there were any changes or improvements. That being said, it is really important for you to have an idea of your current executive functioning abilities and have some ways to improve them. In the next few slides, we will give you some resources and strategies you can use today that focus on each of the 3 areas we discussed.
First, we are going to discuss strategies that can be used to assist with everyday planning. When you are learning how to plan, you will come across strategies that teach you exactly how to plan out your days or weeks. You might see a variety of different templates, however, the end goals are all the same. They will provide you with guiding questions that need to be answered, such as, what is the goal, and how much time do I have? You will most likely learn how to begin with creating a to-do list and then move to breaking each thing you have to do into a step-by-step planning guide. After you become familiar and comfortable with the planning questions, you can generalize planning to your weekly planner, your calendar, or whatever you might use daily. When you are learning how to prioritize tasks, you will most likely have to start with a to-do list of tasks that have to be completed. This is where you will have to begin putting what you have to do in order of importance, noting the difference between tasks that are considered high priority and tasks that can wait. You should be able to differentiate between things that are important and things that might still need to get done, but that can wait a little bit longer. You will also need to learn how to eliminate things that might be considered time wasters or things that might be considered distractions, such as television shows and video games, which can be extremely difficult.
Self-monitoring and goal-directed behavior in the real world. Now let's talk about some strategies to evaluate your current ability to self-monitor and use goal-directed behavior, as well as ways to improve these skills in the real world. This survey is a part of the executive functioning courses being developed by ACI. You can use this to determine what self-monitoring skills you have in regards to school. There are also many self-monitoring questionnaires you can find with a quick Google search. So let's take a look at this real quick. The self-monitoring skills survey. Number 1 is, I am able to recognize my mistakes. You would evaluate this by thinking, when I make a mistake, did I notice? Do I do this always, sometimes, or never? Moving on, tools to keep you on track. Use of a self-regulation journal, such as a notebook or notes on your computer, where you can record strategies used for the week, what worked and what didn't, and next steps can be very helpful. You can also record grades throughout the semester and plan on any changes in studying that might need to happen for improvement. You can also have a trusted adult to reflect on your weekly performance in all of these areas, including school, work, and your scheduling. There are also many apps that can be found by searching self-monitoring in your app store, such as iConnect and Self-Monitoring free app. They can be used to set achievable self-monitoring goals and monitor behavior aligned with success. Similar to the planning process, when you are learning how to self-monitor and use goal-directed behavior, you are going to be setting goals for yourself. You'll be taught to take what you have planned and put it towards a goal and keep track of your progress. Many things go into self-monitoring and goal-directed behavior, like time on task, engagement, and your actual performance. You want to do it well, right? You might be familiar with goal-setting templates, such as setting SMART goals and tracking your progress through there. You can use the SMART goals for school, work, and life. SMART goals include goals that are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely.
Finally, we are going to discuss strategies that can be used to help self-regulation. It can be difficult to regulate your emotions and behaviors day to day. Why? Because life can be tough sometimes, and we need to learn how to handle those tough times in the best ways possible. The first way we can avoid any emotional outbursts or inappropriate behaviors is to know what might set us off. This is called identifying triggers. Triggers are things that make us angry or that might result in us acting in an inappropriate way. It is helpful to know what situations trigger or set off your anger. Some things that might make you feel angry or frustrated are when things don't go according to plan, being yelled at, being told what to do, feeling ridiculed, or being lied to. Knowing these triggers can help you avoid certain situations or use alternative behaviors to handle them. Alternative behaviors are things that you can do instead of having an emotional or angry outburst. For example, if you do not know how to do something, and that is one of your triggers, instead of behaving inappropriately, you can ask for help. Making a list of your triggers and planning different ways you can handle them is a good strategy to become better at your emotional and inhibitory control. As stated earlier, shifting is the ability to transfer and control your attention between different tasks or subtasks, as well as transition from one activity to another. Sometimes refocusing our attention can be very difficult, especially if it's unexpected. Using warnings and reminders can be extremely helpful. These can be verbal, written, or on your phone. Something that I like to do is create reminders on my cell phone and set them for a certain time. When the reminder pops up, I know that it's time to move my attention to another task. Another important portion of self-regulation is the ability to be flexible. This does not mean the ability to be flexible like the lady in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. This means being able to change your thinking when it is needed. Flexibility is a skill that allows us to adapt to new situations and deal with changes. It includes handling frustration and being able to think on our toes when we need to solve a problem at the last minute. It also helps us learn new ways of doing things. This helps with our self-regulation because, going back to what we said in the emotional inhibitory control slide, life happens and sometimes we need to handle things like change and solving problems in safe and effective ways. One effective strategy that can help with your flexibility is role-playing. This can be done with a trusted friend or family member. Together, come up with 3 or more challenging scenarios that would require a change. This change can be a change in schedule, a change in routine, or a change in availability. Then take turns being the person to come up with a solution to effectively handle the change. Thank you so much for listening. Here's our contact information if you have any questions or want any more information about executive functioning. If you would like, you can scan the QR code to obtain more information about the Academy for Community Inclusion at Florida Atlantic University.